The Ukrainian army continues to defend against Russian attacks on the front line and organize counterattack operations. There are many new developments in Avdiivka, one of the most intense fronts of the war. The Russians, who carried out offensive operations in Avdiivka, Stepove and Tonenke regions in Donetsk, failed. The Ukrainian army managed to repel 9 Russian attacks in this region. The Russians continue to lose power in Avdiivka. The number of military personnel lost by the Russians in this region is very high. The Ukrainian military announced that 7,000 Russian soldiers have been killed and wounded in the clashes in Avdiivka since mid-October. The Russians also lost 100 tanks and 250 units of equipment in this region. It is wondered whether Russian leader Vladimir Putin will continue to deploy troops to the region, regardless of the number of soldiers lost in the Avdiivka region. Russian troops in the Bakhmut region launched counterattack operations near Bohdanivka and Khromove, but these attacks were thwarted by Ukrainian defense forces. Ukrainian forces managed to repel 3 Russian attacks in this region. Russian offensive operations in and around Bakhmut continue to fail. Ukrainian defense blocks on the Kupiansk front continue to strengthen and develop different strategies to counter Russian offensives. Ukrainian forces reported that they repelled 15 Russian attacks in the direction of Kupiansk. Russian offensive operations could not break through the Ukrainian defense blocks. Russian troops on the Marinka front continued their intense offensives. The Russians carried out 18 counterattack operations in this area. The Ukrainian army reported that the attacks were around Krasnohorivka were prevented. The 18 Russian attacks were repulsed by Ukraine, but intense fighting continues on the Marinka front. On the Shakhtarsk front, the Russians carried out unsuccessful offensive actions in the Starmoitsk area in the Donetsk region. The Ukrainian army intends to strengthen the defense line in this area in order to respond strongly to Russian offensive. On the Zaporizhia front, Ukrainian defenders repelled 6 enemy attacks near Krovone, Robotyne and northwest of Verbove in the Zaporizhia region. The Ukrainian army attaches great importance to the Zaporizhia region. While the clashes in this strategically very important Zaporizhia region continue, the Ukrainian army wants to maintain control in the region. The Russians carried out an aircraft attack on Berislav in the Kherson region. The Ukrainian army responded to the Russians in the region by carrying out an offensive operation against Russian positions in the Skadovsk region. The city of Zalavinka in Kherson was subjected to Russian artillery fire. The number of Russian attacks on densely populated areas is increasing. This strategy implemented by Russia is not considered correct by any war analyst. Ukrainian counterattacks continue in Crimea. Ukraine recently reminded that the Russians in the Crimea region is one of Ukraine's most important targets with its successful attack on the Russian shipyard in Kerch in the Crimea region. The Ukrainian army, however, continued to carry out offensive operations against strategically important Russian positions throughout the day. Missile forces units struck 3 artillery units, a command center and a Russian gathering area for personnel, weapons and military equipment. The number of soldiers lost by Russia since the beginning of the occupation was announced as 305,970. What kind of developments do you expect in the coming days? Do you think Ukrainian counterattacks will continue to be successful?